Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Dzkan Toys, where I do reviews and share my thoughts on some of my favorite toy releases. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we have another figure to look at, and it is the Garou from One Punch Man by the toy company known as Dasin. As usual, make sure you guys stay till the end of the video to see some cool pictures that I'll be taking with today's review. Let's take a quick 360 of the box and get the opening started. So box art seems pretty simple for a Dasin toy company. At the back we do have some cool art, but overall it's pretty plain. Alright, here we have our Dasin model Garou unboxed. Let's take a 360 view of him while we talk about the background information of the toy company as well as the character. I did some research on Dasin toy company, but I wasn't able to find too much information about them. But from what I do know, they seem to be a third-party company from China, and they have been producing many shonen anime series characters, such as Slam Dunk, One Punch Man series. Recently, they also produced Tom and Jerry figures, I believe, as well. For the character Garou, he's a villain / anti-hero, a martial arts prodigy, the self-proclaimed hero hunter, and a major adversary of the Hero Association and Monster Association from the One Punch Man series. He's a former disciple of Bang, but was expelled from his dojo for going on a rampage. Because of his fascination with monsters, he's commonly called the human monster. Now moving on to the aesthetics and paint job of the figure. In terms of the overall aesthetics and design, Garou is actually quite simple. Because he is a martial artist, he's wearing some sort of a kung fu suit with a tight tank top on top and some kung fu pants and shoes on the bottom. So overall, there's nothing major going on here in terms of sculpt work. What Dasin did a good job in my personal opinion is the head sculpt. Garou being the character with a very signature and recognizable hairstyle over here, they recreated well in figure form. So we have his signature spiky hair that goes both ways. And in terms of the facial sculpting and the likeliness of the character, I think they also did a decent job over here because he does look like Garou that jumped out of the manga or anime in terms of the facial expression and sculpt work. Here's the side angle of the face sculpt. So the hair and the face still looks very natural on the side. Let's check out the back. Similarly, the hair looks great when looking from the back as well. Moving downwards, the only other major sculpt work done here is probably the belt, which we can see over here. Other minor details include, of course, some type of muscular sculpt work for the upper body, as seen here. We also get some subtle creases in the pants around the thigh area, as well as the connection point between the feet and the leg. In terms of the paint job, Garou is quite simple. We don't have too many colors. We have this cool gray for his hair color, the black for his upper body, and the kung fu shoes, this sort of off-white or cream color for the pants, and finally some yellow for the belt. Of course, his skin is done in this skin color. In terms of the hair color, I feel like Dasin made a good choice in choosing this color. It is what I imagine Garou's hair color to be, sort of this cool gray. I'm glad they chose this cool gray color instead of a darker or a lighter shade. It really does pop having a hairstyle and a color like this. As for the black, there's not much to say here. I feel like they did do some shading around the muscular features of the upper torso, but I could be wrong. It's hard to tell with the black paint. In terms of the pants done in this cream off-white color, I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, but in real life, I can tell that there are some shading done on it, which is nice. They seem to be in this light yellowish brownish color, so it does give the pants some extra details, but it is not that obvious. As for the kung fu shoes, they're pretty much painted on, so we do have a color separation between the skin color, the black, and the white of the soles. Overall then, I feel like the paint is nice, it is acceptable, but of course it could have been better by adding some more obvious shading. But then again, the design of this version of Garou is quite simple, so I'm not too sure what more they could have done. Moving on, we're gonna check out the accessories of this Garou figure. In terms of the accessory, I have to say Dasin did a good job over here. We have quite a few accessories to play with, including some effect parts. First, let's show off all of the face plates, or alternative heads in this case. The first one that we see in front of us comes straight out of the box attached to the figure. We have the typical normal looking face. Secondly, we have this slightly smiling face. The third one, we have this smiling face, which looks a bit more cockier. We see his teeth in this expression. The last expression may just be my favorite. This one really reminds me of an animalistic instinct. In terms of Garou's fighting style, it seems like he's a wolf ready to attack his prey as a predator. In terms of the teeth sculpt work over here, it doesn't show too well on camera, but in real life, if you look closely, you can almost see the detailing of the fangs a little bit. His pupils are also much smaller, of course, representing that animalistic style. For those of you guys who don't know, actually, Garou, the name, translated into English means hungry wolf. So it really represents his character and his fighting style very nicely. Before we move on to the hand accessories, there is a minor complaint I want to make here. In terms of the head design, each time we change the facial expression, we're actually changing the whole headpiece. What happens is we take off the hairpiece at the back and the front, and then we swap the headpiece and then put the hairpiece back on. Here's another look. So this is basically a little bit of a hassle to do, because each time we want to change the facial expression, we have to take the whole headpiece off. Unlike many other figures, such as Figma, what we can do is just take the faceplate off. This way we don't need to keep on taking off the entire headpiece and separate it from the neck peg. So I'm not really sure why they designed it like this way, instead of just changing the faceplate when we want to change the expression. In terms of the hand accessories, we do have a good variety. Right out of the box, we have our usual 2 closed fists. Next, we have 2 holding hands. Although Garou don't really have any type of weapon accessories, if you guys do have some weapon accessory in the 1/12 scale, I'm sure you'll be able to let Garou hold them with this pair of hands. Moving on, we also have a set of these 2-finger pointing kung fu style hands. They look really good, and I'm sure we can do a lot of creative posing with them. Finally, we have another set of these kung fu style hands. I'm not really sure what to call them, but you guys can see for yourselves. They look pretty nice and can be used to create many cool action poses. Next up is the effect pieces. It's very nice that we actually got some effect piece in this release. So what they are is we have 2 of these. Pretty much it looks like some sort of blue impact effect. And we also have 2 of these ones, which represents the water stream attack that he is using in the show. We can connect these with the 2 impact pieces. Finally, we also have 2 smaller stream-like effects, similar to the other one that I just showed you guys. We can also connect these to these impact pieces, so it's up to you guys to decide which one to use. Here we have the hand effect piece attached to Garou. I have yet to attach the water stream part on it, but this is just to showcase to you guys that we can use it like this, sort of representing the punching effect. They're quite easy to put on, as all I had to do was take off the hand, and these effect pieces will fit right onto the original hand pegs. Here we have a look at the effect pieces once I attach the stream part onto it. So this one is the shorter stream effect part attached to the punching pieces. So this looks very nice in my opinion, and it represents the water stream rocking smashing fist technique that Garou often uses in the show. Of course, it originated from his master, Bang, which is also a top hero in the Hero Association, who invented this signature attack. Here we have Garou with the effect pieces, which is attached to the longer stream part. So these definitely look more dynamic as they're bigger. It's really up to preference, but I definitely prefer the longer looking ones, as they look like they're more powerful. Of course, you can always mix it up. So we have one longer one over here and one shorter one over here. It's really up to you guys and your imaginations. One other thing I also want to mention is for these effect pieces, whether the longer stream or the shorter stream, we can actually switch the direction. So basically we can put it like that or like this. It doesn't really matter. You guys can play around with it if you guys grab the figure. The last accessory included in this kit is the stand. We have it with the purple base over here. It's actually quite nice. We have lots of articulation, such as side to side, front and back, also 2 more joints here. It's pretty much a copy of the Tamashii stage act stand, but hey, I'm not complaining. It's done pretty decently. The stands holds Garou very well, so you can do all sorts of cool aerial poses with them. Very useful accessory. Next, we have the articulation segment. In terms of Garou being a character, articulation is very important for him because he is a martial artist. He's expected to do all sorts of acrobatic moves. So let's check it out. For the head, we have the 360. Looking up, that looks very nice and it looks very natural as well. Looking down, so it is a double jointed neck joint, which means we have an upper rotation at the upper part. Also at the bottom piece here, we do have a rotation and articulation as well. For the arms, they go all the way up, 360, elbow bend. We also have a butterfly joint to increase articulation. For the wrist, we have a 360 rotation, also side to side or up and down depending on the angle. For the ab, we do have a slight ab crunch, just a little bit. We have a side to side, a slight rotation as well. Moving on to the waist, we have a rotation, side to side a little bit once again. Also a little bit forward and backwards, so it can work together with the ab crunch. Now for the legs, we do have a thigh rotation, all the way forwards, all the way backwards. So you can't kick straight backwards, it has to be a bit towards the side due to the design of the buttocks. We do have this nice sideways articulation for those kung fu kicks. As you guys see here, there's a gap over here for the side articulation. Moving on, we have the knee bend. As for the feet, we have the 360 rotation, forwards, backwards, side to side pivot. We can work with it depending on the angle. Finally, we do have a toe pivot, which can be done. Yeah, so overall, Garou's articulation is really well done. Because the design of his body is quite simple, there's not too much major aspects that hinders the articulation. So articulation wise, he's great. Now let's do some size comparisons. First, let's compare it to the other figures in the One Punch Man line by Dasin. We have the Dasin Saitama, also the Dasin model Genos. All 3 of them look quite good next to each other. So it's definitely nice to have all of these in your collection if you're a One Punch Man fan. Next up, we have a Figma. Here's Figma John the Arc from the Fate series. I do wish I had the Figma Saitama or the Figma Genos to compare, but unfortunately I don't have those. We also have a SH Figuarts Goku. Here we have a Mezco Cable, Mayfex Deadpool, Revotech Deathstroke. Finally, a Storm Collectibles King of Fighter Yori Yagami. Alright, final thoughts on today's figure review, which is the Dasin model toy company's Garou from One Punch Man. There's many positives as well as negatives, but in terms of the positives, the hair sculpt and the face sculpt is done very nicely and have a good resemblance to Garou the character. It looks like Garou jumped straight out of the anime or the manga. Also, in terms of the articulation system, is very well done. He can do most, if not all, of the martial artist poses that Garou is so used to doing in the story. In addition, we also have many cool accessories, such as the effect piece for Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist. We also have many great expressions and Kung Fu hand accessories. The stand is another bonus. In terms of the negatives, first I would have to say the headpiece is one of them. In order to change the facial expressions, we have to take the entire headpiece off to swap to another headpiece. This is kind of annoying as other toy companies would often just have us change the expression faceplate only. I'm not really sure why Dasin decided to design it like that, but it is what it is. Other than that, when I got the figure, I also had some paint splatter on the pants, which I was able to clean off with some alcohol wipes. Being a third-party company, they may have some slight quality control issues compared to other major companies, but for my Garou figure over here, it's pretty good. All the joints are decently tight. As for the future, because not many other companies are making articulated One Punch Man figures, I do hope Dasin would make more One Punch Man characters. Even if we get a remolded version of Garou, I wouldn't mind it if they can do a shirtless version of him or a battle damaged version of him. In terms of being an articulated Garou figure, this might just be the best one on the market that we have so far. So the final decision is up to you guys. Anyways, there goes the end of today's review. If you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to support the channel by liking the video and also subscribing. I would really appreciate that. As always, my friends, remember to stay young at heart, and until next time, we're out.
I'm just calling to say I